F1 fans. This is the Formula One News Hour. I am your host, Jonathan Steele, and today we have the Grand Prix of Miami for the second time. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting race. Put Baku to shame from last week. The grid, we've got Checo Perez on the pole and Fernando Alonso starting right next to him, so that's kind of a change. We don't have the two Red Bulls up there. Of course, Max Verstappen is starting back in ninth due to a red flag condition in Q3 yesterday, brought about by Charles Leclerc not being able to keep his car under control and crashing into the barriers, which brought it all to an end. And strangely enough, it does not look like I'm about to look at the startup right now. Actually, they're not starting I thought they were. They're talking about the turns right now. But anyway, the Formula One News Hour is brought to you by Thenology. All your data center needs under one roof, Thenology.com. By CloudHub, a brand new way of looking at social media. No wokeness going on there, and no censorship at all. So give it a try. That's cloudhub.com. Moms for Liberty, trying to get parents involved in both the school boards and the involvement of getting their children's education to really put pressure on the changes that need to come about in our schools today. And of course, by Give, Send, Go. You need a crowdfunding entity to help things out in your life. Think of Give, Send, Go. It's givesendgo.com. It's momsforliberty.org. It's cloudhub.com, and of course, Thenology.com. And we're also going to give another shout out today to our friends at Bastrop Bookkeeping right here in Austin, Texas. Actually, they're about 30 to 45 minutes east of Austin, Texas, in a little town called Bastrop. So folks at Bastrop Bookkeeping are great if you need your taxes filed or you've got a small business, need some bookkeeping. Give the folks at Bastrop Bookkeeping a shout out. So we're going over the starting grid now, and of course we've got Perez and Alonso on pole, and that's interesting to see. I think it's a long time since our good friend Fernando Alonso has found himself on the front row. And in an interview yesterday, he kind of blamed the teams, and of course, really the last probably let's say 8 to 10 years, if you haven't driven for either Red Bull or Mercedes, then and of course Ferrari, then you really haven't found yourself up in the pole positions, or even in the first 3 or 4 rows of the grid. So it's very interesting, and I'm really happy to see some different guys up there. In an interview with Max Verstappen, he believes that he can still win the race. He has won a race starting at 15th today, so no reason why he can't win from 9th. One of the three things they've got to contend with. There is rain in the forecast. We escaped it yesterday. The track is very slick. It's been resurfaced, and the drivers are really struggling with that resurface. And of course, the wind and some of them are blaming the wind for pushing them on some of these turns and making them go wide. Max Verstappen yesterday blamed the wind for when he ended up almost losing it. Didn't lose it, but almost did. So we are about to start. We've just started what we call the formation lap. If you're not familiar with Formula One, then please, after you've listened to these, watch these podcasts that I do, please get out there and watch it so you'll get to understand more about how the race goes on. There's a tremendous amount of strategy goes on in Formula One racing. There's also a tremendous amount of engineering. These cars are probably the most sophisticated engineering pieces of equipment on Earth. and I'm going to put them in there, with the space shuttles and the rockets and the capsules that they're sending up to the space station. There is an incredible amount of data being sent back to the pits for the engineers in the pits so the pits can give feedback to the drivers on what to look out for. So hopefully we're in for a really exciting race. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Alonso has predicted that he will see Max Verstappen in his rearview mirror by lap 25. So it's going to be an interesting race. Hopefully, certainly I think the weather is going to help make it interesting, and then we will certainly keep our fingers crossed. So the attendance today at the Miami Grand Prix is up 30,000 folks over last year. That's 270,000 people. That's nearly what we saw in COTA last year. I think right here in Austin, Texas, we saw 283,000 people. So as you can see, these Formula One events now have become probably the largest crowd draws in the world, bigger than soccer, I'll say with the exception of the World Cup, because the World Cup does draw about 1 billion viewers, spectators, over the month to 6 weeks that it goes. But if you look at Formula One over 6 weeks, then you're looking at around 600 million people. So we got to say, certainly on a year-to-year, month-to-month basis, Formula One is probably the most watched sport on the face of the earth today. Soccer is certainly up there in World Cup years, but Formula One's doing it every week or every other week, depending on when the races are. It's an incredible thing to watch. And, they play the national anthem here a few moments ago. One thing you won't find at a Formula One race, you will not find anybody kneeling during the US national anthem, or any national anthem for that matter. Most Formula One folks seem to be very, very patriotic place. So we are lined up now. We're about to go live. When I say live, we're about to start. The pace car, the pace car is in behind. The green flag is gone. 4, 5, lights out. We are on our way, and Checo Perez has got off to a great start. So has Alonso. Alonso's alongside. The Ferrari is still in third place. Let's see where Max Verstappen is. We've got a pretty clean start so far. Things are going really, really well for everybody. This is good to see. Okay, so Max Verstappen has already made up 1 or 2 places from the start of the race. So that puts him in 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, he has. He's picked up 2 places. So he's in 7th place now. So after we get through this first lap, it is pretty much as we started, although Gasly has moved up, and so has George Russell. Charles Leclerc is up 1 position, and Magnussen is back 1 position. Other than that, the top 5, really, top 6, just kind of moved places. So Hamilton's still stuck in 13th. Verstappen has, I don't know what happened, but he is still now stuck in 9th position. So I was wrong there about him making up a couple of positions. I see what happened. Bottas got behind him. So let's see if they're going to replay here exactly what happened with Nick de Vries, who has found himself all the way back in last position, along with Lando Norris. And Logan Sargent, of course, has made up 2 positions. He started last. So Checo Perez, I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Jose. Maybe because I'm being a little, no, I would never do that. Anyway, his name Checo Perez. He now has a good 1.3 second lead over Alonso, 1.5 seconds now, in fact. And Carlos Sainz is 2 seconds behind Alonso. So we're seeing the Red Bull really show race pace. As we've discussed during most of this year, Red Bull during race conditions have turned out to be a much, much better car than any of the other cars on the track. And Checo Perez is, I'm sure, very happy that Max Verstappen, who has made up a place now, he's passed Valtteri Bottas, and he's now in 8th position. So if he can move up one position a lap, then come lap 10 or 15, he's going to be up there in the top 3. So let's see how my prediction works out there. So we just started lap 3, and we have, I think, Nick de Vries coming into the pits, probably because, oh no, it's Logan Sargent in the pits for new tyres. They obviously did not like the setup of the car or the tyres. Oh, they're changing the nose piece, which means that he must have been the one that got in an altercation with Nick de Vries there. So Lando Norris has now found himself in 18th place instead of dead last. But Alex Albon in the other Williams car is up in 12th place, so they're showing up good. Let's see where Lance Stroll is. Oh, Lance Stroll, for whatever reason, is all the way back in 17th. That's where he started. He actually started in 17th, so he's right about where he started. But the Aston Martin is a much, much better car this year, so I'm sure we're going to see that Aston Martin of Lance Stroll make its way up through the field. And Max Verstappen has just picked up 2 more places, so he is now up into 6th place. So in 3 laps, he has moved up 3 places. So like I say, he's picking up about a car per lap, and the stewards are looking at that collision between De Vries and Logan Sargent, and unfortunately, it looks like Logan Sargent got the worst of that. And from what I'm hearing, it was in fact Nick de Vries's fault. So we may see Nick de Vries end up with a 5-second penalty over that. So listening to the commentators on the race, they're talking about Lewis Hamilton talking to his engineers, and he is saying that he does not think his car is going to last the race. Now, he started in 13th, he's still in 13th, but obviously there's some struggles he's having with that car that he doesn't like. They're trying to see if it's porpoising. If you remember last year, the Mercedes really suffered badly from porpoising, and they're going to show the replay here. So I'm going to see exactly what happened between Nick de Vries and Logan Sargent. Somebody just had all the wheels locked up there. I can't see who it was, but it's. I see. It is. Oh no, Logan Sargent actually just touched the left front wheel of Lewis Hamilton as they were going into the first turn there. So now we're going to watch Nick de Vries and see exactly what happened here with Nick. He's in the AlphaTauri, of course. And, okay, so he was the guy. He ran into the back of Nico Hulkenberg in the McLaren. So that's what happened there. So what I mentioned, all the wheels locked up. It was in fact Nick de Vries that hit all the brakes and locked up all those wheels. So some kind of and we've got Lando Norris coming into the pits right now. This is very early. Okay, so where are we? We're at lap 6, and Perez is still leading. Alonso's 2nd, Sainz is 3rd, and Pierre Gasly is 4th. And Max Verstappen has just took the fastest lap, and he is now getting close to 1 second behind George Russell. And that means in about another 2 laps, because now the DRS is enabled, they wait 2 laps to enable the DRS into a race, and DRS is enabled. And so, in fact, we may not even have to wait for the end of this lap, because now Verstappen is 3/4 of a second behind George Russell, and he's put in the fastest lap. So in fact, he's about 2 to 3 car lengths now behind George Russell. So it's not going to be very long before we're going to see Max Verstappen take over 5th place. I think I said at the beginning that probably by lap 15 that Verstappen would be in 3rd place. So we're coming up on lap 6, and he's about to move into 5th. So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty safe with that prediction, given that George Russell's only 1.2 seconds behind the 4th place car. Let's see Esteban, just watching Esteban Ocon just lost it, totally lost it, and had to take the offshoot. They have these offshoots on the track, so when the drivers lose it, they give him plenty of room to kind of maneuver the car, cut across corners and stuff like that, so that they don't crash into the barriers and things. And Esteban Ocon, who's all the way down in 9th place, just had to use one of those chutes. Now, what they can't do when they take those, cut those corners and things like that, they can't gain positions. If they gain a position on a car, then they have to immediately give it back. So lap 8 and the top 4-5 has not changed much. We are certainly going to see Max Verstappen take out George Russell here in just a few moments, because he is less than half a second behind and he has DRS, and that will be ample enough pace to put himself in 5th and put George Russell back in 6th position. So it's interesting. They're saying, the commentators are saying that the hard tires are holding up extremely well, and I've just heard them say that Checo Perez is having to nurse his right front tire for whatever reason, and in fact, Checo Perez now has let Alonso catch up just a little bit, and Nico Hulkenberg decided he would try and take, I can't see which car that was on the inside, but he had to cut across a corner to save it. So he passed him, but then had to give the position right back. So here's Max Verstappen is about to watching now and as he's going past George Russell right now, then Max Verstappen has moved into 5th position. So that now he's got 1.6 seconds between himself and Gasly, and of course the Red Bull car is about a second to maybe 1.2 seconds under race conditions faster than the rest of the field. If you remember last week, they won by some 20 seconds. The week before, something similar to that. And as they get comfortably ahead in the race, of course, they quit pushing. And so, instead of having the 1.2 second advantage that they know they have, they drop it to about half a second. So they just keep making it look like it's an easy day at the office for Red Bull, and quite frankly, it is an easy day at the office for Red Bull. But it does look like that Alonso is making up pace on Checo Perez. So either something is up with the setup on Perez's car, that right front tire is having so much degradation, or the setup on Alonso's car is just a little bit better than Perez's Red Bull at the moment. Certainly it's not any better than, in fact, Verstappen is just about to take 4th position here, and he's just taken Gasly on the inside. So he's so in 2 laps he's made up 2 positions. So I don't see that he's going to make another move here for about 2 to 3 laps, because it's very early in the race and there's no point in really, putting a lot of degradation in his tires to make up these spots right now. He knows he can do it. He's shown he's passed Mercedes. He's passed the Haas cars. He's passed the Alpine cars. He's passed every car there is, with the exception of a Ferrari and a Aston Martin. And I think it's just, like I say, I predicted lap 15. I'm still going to say, in fact, that it will be lap 15. Something very interesting is happening, though, and that is Carlos Sainz is moving up on Alonso. In fact, Sainz is within DRS of Alonso. So it's going to be interesting to see if Sainz battles out with Alonso, because if they battle out, what's going to happen is, as they're battling, then it is going to give pace to Max Verstappen to close that gap rather fast, which is what happened with Leclerc and Magnussen. They were battling earlier, and then Verstappen passed both of them at the same time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. So As we can see, compared to last week, we've already got a pretty nice race. Yes, we're only 57 laps in, but at least we're seeing passing, and we're seeing challenges, and we're seeing what we expect to see in a Formula One race. So much better than last weekend, because this time last weekend in the race, with 10 to 12 laps in, the race was over, and this race is far from over. It's obvious, like I say, that although Perez has opened up about half a second on Alonso, so maybe he was nursing that tire too much, or maybe he was just being a little smart. Who knows? But anyway, he is opening up a nice little gap now between Alonso and between Alonso and the Ferrari is about two car lengths. So maybe 3 car lengths. And in fact, that's interesting, because Checo Perez has just taken the fastest lap away from Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen's just taken it back again, which just shows you that the 2 Red Bulls are still the fastest cars on this circuit today. We have not seen any of the mishaps, other than, guys coming in a couple of the corners a little too hot, and they've had to go cut across the corners. We have not seen the wind have that big of an effect on the cars, as they were talking about in the beginning, and we've not seen the track condition have that kind of effect. And I have to see what we're turning a lap at. I think the laps are going by right now at about 133, 134. If you remember, during qualifying, they were getting in at 126. So that's about right. So 4 to 7 seconds difference there. Carlos Sainz and his folks are just talking about tire strategy. So Perez is on medium. Verstappen is on hard. Alonso's on medium. So most of the field is on medium. You've got Verstappen, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Hamilton is on hard, Tsunoda is on hard, Joe Granyu is on hard. So actually everybody in the bottom half of the field, with the exception of Nick de Vries, is on the hard tire. So if you're on the difference between having the hard and medium on now, if you're on the hard tire, then you're going to be out there a long time before you change tires. And what you're going to try and do is stay out there long enough so that at the end of the race you can go to the soft tire, and that'll give you a lot more pace and put you in a much better position to win the race. Now, as those hard tires degrade over the length of the race, of course, they're going to lose pace. But what you're going to hope is that by having a hard compound versus the medium, where the medium you're going to have to maybe come in earlier, but not perhaps you are going to have to come in medium. You're probably going to have to come in on a medium tire. On a soft tire, you'd be looking at maybe 17 to 23 laps. On the medium tire, you're going to be looking at somewhere in the 30 to 35, and then the hard tire at around, if you can make it, 40 to 45, and then that gets you the 10 to 12 laps at the end to make it on the soft tire. But we just saw Carlos Sainz there with DRS. And now Max Verstappen we got a little mini DRS train going, because Verstappen's got DRS on Sainz, and Sainz has DRS on Alonso. So it makes it very, very difficult to pass. But I feel sure that here we're on lap 14. What did I say? That Verstappen would be in third position around the 15th lap, and it looks like my little prediction is going to come true. It doesn't make me the smartest guy on the planet, the second smartest guy on the planet. The smartest guy on the planet is Adrian. What's Adrian's last name? He's the British guy who is the designer of the Red Bull cars, and there goes Max Verstappen by Carlos Sainz now. So on lap 14, Carlos Sainz is in third position, and I predicted within 15 laps, so I'm doing okay. Anyway, Adrian Newey is the guy that I'm thinking about. He trained under Colin Chapman, and if you've watched some of my earlier podcasts, you'll have heard me talk about Colin Chapman a lot. Probably one of the smartest people in Formula One racing history. Responsible for the Lotus car's success, both the Lotus Formula One car and, of course, Lotus cars. If you're a sports car fan, of course, you'll love to drive a Lotus car. It's absolutely incredible to drive. As a younger guy, I got to drive both the Elan and the Esprit. And the Esprit especially, once you got up to around 140, 150 miles an hour, you could feel that car being sucked down onto the road and becoming smoother. But Adrian Newey, who designs the Red Bull's cars, and is probably the preeminent car designer there is. And we have, who do we have? We have a MoneyGram car, that's a Haas car come in. And who is it? I can't see who it is. We'll find out who it is in just a moment. But they came in and changed tyres, and it was Kevin Magnussen, who came in. And it's easy to tell once they start going out because you see them drop down in the lead. So Max Verstappen is in third position, and Max Verstappen, ladies and gentlemen, is now in second position. He has just taken over the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso, and Fernando Alonso said that he would see Verstappen in his rearview mirror by lap 25. He was off by 10 laps, and so now you have both Red Bulls in first and second position. So let's see what the time distance is between. They're going to show us what we're watching is Carlos Sainz trying to get past Fernando Alonso. But just a beautiful move on a replay here. A beautiful move by Max Verstappen on Alonso right there. And every one of those moves, he takes them on the inside and essentially outbreaks them. His car setup is superior, and we've got an Alpine coming in right now. And it is Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly in the Alpine has come in, and so this is for medium tire. These are early pit stops for these tires, and we've just seen it's 16th. So Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo has just come in, and so the time difference between Perez and Verstappen is 3.8 seconds. So I think by lap 22, we will probably see Max Verstappen taking over the lead position in this race. Just a beautiful piece of driving all the way around on Max Verstappen's part. There's not been any hiccup. There's not been any close calls. Just absolutely beautifully smooth driving in an incredibly well-made, well-balanced car. So the commentators are just talking about the strategies going on between the two Red Bulls, and what they're talking about, of course, is that Checo Perez started on the medium tire and Verstappen on the hard tire, and they're saying on this track that the hard tire is the better tire. But Perez has done very well on this medium tire up to now. So if they're saying the hard tire is better, it's only going to be a matter of laps before Checo Perez will have to get out and get a tire change. And they're talking there will be no soft tires at all. They're going to go hard, either medium hard or hard medium. So when Verstappen comes in for new tires, he's going to go to the medium tire. And as they're saying it on this track, the medium tire seems to be a better tire. Now, remember that's with the track surface as it is now. As this race goes on and more of this rubber comes off these tires and onto the track surface, maybe towards the end of the race, the medium tire will turn out to be the better tire for this race. That's going to be something really interesting to watch. So let's see, where's Lewis Hamilton? Lewis Hamilton, well, he's not doing so badly. He's made his way from 13th up to 9th. But we should point out that he's achieved that really by guys coming in for tire changes. And one of them just came in. Who just came in? It was George Russell just came in for Mercedes for tires, and so has Charles Leclerc just come in for tires. It's interesting that that Charles Leclerc is not getting any real pace out of his car. His teammate is now back in fourth. He was in second. No, he wasn't in second. I'm sorry, he was in third. But Charles Leclerc is all the way down in 15th. So he's not getting the pace out of that car that we would have expected him to see. You know, the great thing is, folks, that this week we are seeing a much more interesting race. So let's take this on lap 18 here. Let's take this opportunity to go ahead and thank our sponsors. And the sponsor for this section of the Formula One News Hour has been brought to you by CloutHub. Folks, there are a number of different social media sites out there, but if you would like to get onto a social media site where there is no censoring, there is no kind of limit on the number of friends you can have, where you just want to get out there and communicate with your friends and post stuff that you like. They of course won't let anything illegal get posted out there, but anything that's legal, any free speech, you can get out there and post it. And you can do that on CloutHub. That is clouthub.com. And while I was doing that commercial, we were just watching Carlos Sainz come in for his pit stop. So now that's both Ferraris changed tires, and that's moved Lewis Hamilton up into 6th place, and the Ferraris now are in 7th place and 15th place respectively. Other than that, we've got the two Red Bulls in 1st and 2nd. Alonso is still up there in podium at in the 3rd position. What's very interesting is we've got Esteban Ocon in an Alpine up there in the 4th position. So some kind of interesting stuff going on right now. And what's making it interesting is the swapping out of the tires. Those that started on the medium tires are now going and changing out for the hard tire. Those that were started the hard are still on hard, and they will be, at least I'm going to guess, for about another maybe not as many laps as I thought. Maybe they were on lap 19, so maybe by lap 35 we'll start to see the hard tire changes happening. So right now, in fact, all of the top 10, with the exception of one, and that's Checo Perez, are on the hard tire. So it's going to be interesting to see how long Checo can maintain the medium tire. His teammate has cut the lead in half. It's down to 1.4 seconds. I was just watching the Ferrari get past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz get past the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. So now Carlos Sainz just took on a new set of hard tires. So his tire situation is going to be better than Lewis Hamilton. I guess what surprised me is the ease in which that he did it. That car for Lewis Hamilton, Lewis came on the radio earlier back on lap 4 or 5, saying that he didn't think that it was going to make it. So I see the Red Bull crew getting ready to bring in Checo Perez. That we're going to see him come in and get rid of those medium tires and get in. And they've just told box to Checo Perez. So Max Verstappen, lap 21, is leading the Miami Grand Prix. 2.2 seconds. 2.2 seconds. Imagine that, folks. So you pull your car in to get a tire change, and 2.2 seconds later, what's happening is your car's being jacked up. They're taking the old tires off. They put the new tires back on. They put it back on the ground, and you take off all in 2.2 seconds. And we've just been watching Carlos Sainz take over the 6th position from Hülkenberg in the Haas car. The other Haas car is back. Magnussen is back in the 14th position. What's really, really strange to me is that the McLarens of Norris and Piastri are number 17 and 18 respectively. It just blows my mind is what has happened to McLaren this year. I mean, it's hard to. Last year they didn't exactly win. The year before with Ricciardo they did win one race, but last year at least Lando Norris was finishing up there in the top 10 most every race, and just really not doing well at all this year. And we're watching now a replay of Max Verstappen. Kind of got pushed out a little wide there on that turn, which is probably a little show that his tires are probably not what they were. Well, they're certainly not what they were when he started, but he still has the fastest lap of the race so far today. So things are going very well for Verstappen. Checo Perez is back in 4th position. He is 14, 17. He's right at 18 seconds behind Max Verstappen. So if Max Verstappen was to stop and change tires right now, he could well come out just ahead of Checo Perez. I'm just seeing it now on the screen. They're saying the average pit stops from beginning to end is 17 seconds. That's from the time they leave the track till the time they're back on it. So at that rate, then yes, Max Verstappen would still come out in the first position if he was to change for tires right now. He's not going to do that because he'd have to come in and make a third stop. And now that we're talking about in the background here, they're talking about that Carlos Sainz may be up for a pit lane penalty, and that is, even though he hit the brakes as hard as he could going into pit lane, it looks like that he's going to get a speeding penalty for pit lane. So that will be 5 seconds. So that would put him back into 9th position right now. So so the stewards are looking at it, and the folks, the commentators that are down there on for Sky News, they are certain that Carlos Sainz was going way too fast. So Perez has just passed Esteban Ocon, so now he is exactly 17 seconds behind his teammate Max Verstappen, and he is 3 seconds behind Alonso. Alonso has not come in for tires yet, and he is on the medium tires. So everybody in the top, everybody except one is everybody except Alonso is on the hard tire now. Now some of those on the hard tire, like Max Verstappen, have yet to have a tire change. So, like I said, I expect that in about start happening with these cars in another 10 to 12 laps. And we're watching now George Russell battling with Lance Stroll for 9th position, and it looks like he is going to do that. And is Sergio Perez? That's interesting. Sergio Perez is losing ground. No, they've just updated it. So 12:60. So, but he's not making a lot of. Sergio Perez is not making up a lot of ground on Alonso. In 4 laps, he's had those new tires. He has made up exactly 1 second. With the Red Bull car, as I mentioned earlier, having about a 1 to 1.2 second speed advantage over most of the rest of the field. That's interesting. So there must be something in the setup of that car with those tires that Sergio Perez is not happy with, because for sure, if he was happy with those tires, he should be making up at least half to 3/4 of a second per lap, and at this time he is not doing it. In fact, Max Verstappen now has increased his gap to Sergio Perez by nearly right at about half a second. It's up over 17.2 seconds. So at that stage, like I said earlier, if this holds up, Max Verstappen can easily pit and still get out ahead of Perez. Now, we've just seen Alonso come in. He's the last guy on those medium tires. He's the last guy to come in and get that. So I think he's going to come back out in third or fourth position. Let's see, 16. So now everybody. so Max Verstappen just I'm laughing because of Christian Horner's response to Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen said, "Hey guys, you need to let me know what the condition is for the medium tires when we go onto it, because we need to change these out at the right time." And Christian Horner says, "We're doing that on the pit wall, Max, we're gonna take care of that. Please just focus on driving." So that's probably the harshest I've ever heard Christian Horner come back and say something to any one of his drivers. But he's right. At this day and age, it is a team sport, and so Max needs to focus on driving and let the engineers, and in this case, Miss Hannah Schmidt, Engineer of the Year last year in Formula One, figure out when is the best time to bring him in and change his tires. So Alonso, this is interesting. Alonso has come out in 5th place, but he is only half a second behind Carlos Sainz, and Sainz is 1.5 seconds behind Ocon. So I think we're going to see Alonso make up get in and make up a podium position here. I think if it keeps going, unless something dramatic happens, we're going to see a battle for first place between Verstappen and Perez. But I don't think if it gets to be a battle, it's going to be a battle. Perez will be relegated to number 2. But there's certainly going to be a battle between Sainz and Ocon and Alonso for third position at this point. What's happening in the rest of the field? It's still kind of crazy. Although we are seeing Lando Norris has made up one position. He's in 16th now. But the other strange thing is how far Leclerc is back. Leclerc is still back there in 14th position. That's kind of crazy. Hülkenberg is doing really well. He's getting points for Haas, and Magnussen is just 2.5 seconds behind Lance Stroll. So we're going to see what happens there. Now, Checo Perez has just turned in the fastest lap, but even for turning in the fastest lap, he only made up 1/10 of a second on his teammate, Max Verstappen. So let's see what's going to happen. George Russell here is coming up on, who is that? George Russell? Who was he just passing? Can't see. So now we've got Fernando Alonso coming up on Carlos Sainz, and he is going to get it. Yes? No? Yes, he is going to take away fourth place from Alonso, and so, from Carlos Sainz. So Alonso is up into 4th, and now just 1.2 seconds behind Esteban Ocon. And we should really talk about how well the Alfa Romeos are doing today. We've got one in 3rd position, and where is... I'm sorry, it's not the Alfa Romeo, it's the Alpine. The Alpine is in 4th and 10th. So really, that's some impressive work from the Alpine cars today. Valtteri Bottas, I don't know what's happened to him. Both, in fact, the Alfa Romeos are in 14th and 15th position. So that's kind of interesting. Just looking here, Sergio Perez is making about 1/10 of a second impression on Verstappen per lap. So I think, they're going to bring Verstappen in at the time when he's going to come back out in 2nd position, and he's going to come back out probably about 2 seconds behind his teammate Checo Perez, and that will be with about 20 laps left in the race. So that will give him some really nice tires to finish the race on, give a couple of laps to warm them up. So if he comes out in second, a couple of seconds behind Checo Perez, then probably within 3 to 4 laps, then he will retake the first position. And we're just watching, who was it? George Russell get past Hülkenberg. So now we've got the Mercedes in 6th and 7th. But remember, Lewis Hamilton has not pitted yet. So when Lewis Hamilton pits, he is going to be all the way back in 15th, 16th. Let me see if I can add it up quickly. 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. He's going to be in 16th position. Now, yeah, in fact, the commentators are agreeing with me that when Hamilton pits, he's going to come back in 16th position. So, going to be a tough day, a tough weekend all around, really, for Lewis Hamilton, because if you remember yesterday, he did not make it out of the second qualifying session, and the first time ever in the United States where he is qualified below the 6th position. And talking about the wind being really gusty in 4, 5, and 6, turn 4, 5, and 6, and so they're just really telling Max that he's got to be careful around there on those tires, because he's got 30 laps on those tires. He wants to squeeze, like I said earlier, he wants to squeeze about 5 more laps out of those tires, and then we'll see a race to the end. Now, by the time he does that, Sergio Perez is going to have had 20-something laps on, maybe 22 laps on his hard tires. So I think that the strategy of going out on the hard tire first was probably the better strategy, because remember, as the tires are out there longer, they degrade. So they're going to end up on the medium tire, and it's going to have a much better grip on the circuit than the hard tire has with 25 laps on it, which is what I'm figuring, to go. So they changed it 20, so 30. They're going 37 laps. It's going to be really, really interesting, and it's really going to be interesting to see. Alonso did something really smart. He stayed out on those. On the medium tire, for about 10 laps longer than the rest of the field. So his hard tires are going to be in really good shape. In fact, Alonso is only 11 seconds behind Sergio Perez right now. So with, 17 laps to go, and they've just told Max Verstappen he can lean on his tires. He's got plenty of tire. So that means he's going to put more than a 17-second gap between him and Checo Perez. That's exactly what that means. So unless there is a catastrophe, folks, I hate to say it, but at lap 31, this race is over. For the first 2 positions, well, maybe not the first 2. Maybe Alonso. You got to be really, really happy for Aston Martin this year. There was a lot of criticism of Mr. Stroll, the guy that owns the Aston Martin team. They were pretty critical of his lack of knowledge. If you think about it, he's into clothing and retail product man getting into Formula One. But he has shown some really good judgment in the people that he's chosen for this year, because the Aston Martin team is just a light years better than it was at this time last year. Lance Stroll is only 1 position out of the points as well. He's in 11th. He is only a little over half a second behind Pierre Gasly, so there's no reason why he cannot make up 2 or 3 places. He's got Gasly and Tsunoda ahead of him, and so there's really no reason why he can't get up there. Maybe even get up there into 8th position with that car that he has. behind George Russell. I don't think that he'll get behind. I don't think he'll get past George Russell. And Max Verstappen has started increasing the pace a little bit. He's now adding he just added a little over a tenth of a second on that last lap to increase the distance between himself and Sergio Perez. So as we let the cars go by, let's thank the sponsor for this section of the Formula One News Hour, and that would be Thenology. Folks, if you need somewhere to store your data, if you need somewhere to co-locate your servers, if you need to get into a private cloud or a public cloud, you need to call Thenology. Go look them up on the web. It's Thenology.com. Again, Thenology.com. And they are your data center folks that can provide you all of the services that most data centers provide, in addition to both private and public cloud. A lot of your data centers do not provide that. They provide the space for you to host your servers, co-locate your servers, but they're not into providing the level and types of services that Thenology provides. That is Thenology.com. And I was just talking about Max Verstappen opening up the pace a little bit. He's just taken the fastest lap away from Sergio Perez. So that means two things. Bad news for Sergio Perez. It means that Max Verstappen's car has got a better setup than Sergio Perez. It also means that Sergio Perez has a lot of confidence in those tires that have now got 33 laps on them. So that is really interesting to see. In fact, he is now nearly back up to 16 seconds ahead of Perez. On that fastest lap one, he made up another 0.3 of a second. So in just a few moments, probably by the end of lap 35, when he's ready maybe to change his tires, he's going to think about making sure he's got the 17 seconds that he needs. And his team is just talking to him about keeping the gap between Perez and Alonso it's at 13 seconds. So the 33 laps to go. I don't think that Alonso is going to get into second position unless something happens with Checo Perez's car. And somebody just went past. I'm saying it's Lance Stroll made a pass and then got repassed again by Pierre Gasly. So this battle is on, and the sad news for Lance Stroll is they've got a DRS trail going right there. There's 4 cars in a row that have all got DRS, it's very, very difficult to pass, is what I'm saying, because they all got about equal speed. So somebody's coming into the pits. Who is that? Oh, it was Hulkenberg that is into the pits. So that has put Lance Stroll into points position. That's put him into position 2. I guess Hulkenberg was still on the hard tire, is what it was. So he's going out and he's now on the medium tire. So now, if you remember what I was saying, that around lap 35, we would see the hard tires coming off and the medium tires going back on. Now they're going to keep Verstappen out there because he's opened a 16-second lead on his teammate now, and his tires are still in pretty good shape. And his team is telling him, stay out there for as long as we can. And the reason for that is because as long as he is out there, yes, his tires are degrading, but so are Checo Perez. And it's no secret that Red Bull want Max Verstappen to win this race. And I don't think there's any way that Alonso is going to get into second. And I don't see any way that Carlos Sainz is going to get into third. But I think Carlos Sainz is 3-4 seconds behind. Carlos Sainz has just taken 4th position away from Esteban Ocon. But still, I mean, an amazing race for the Alpines, because we got Ocon in 5th and we got Pierre Gasly down in 9th position. Though that probably won't last that long. Because Lance Stroll, I've just known, Lance Stroll has still got to come in for a tire change. So there's a bunch of guys ahead of him, but Pierre Gasly's not one of them. Pierre Gasly changed out his hard tires. His medium tires for hard tires some 20 laps ago. So it's going to be very tough for Lance Stroll then to finish in the top 10. Well, maybe not, because Hamilton has got to change out tires, and so does Nicky Tsunoda. And this is just amazing, folks, but Max Verstappen has just turned in yet another fastest lap. And, Perez is, he's losing a little more than a tenth of a second per lap. But it's going to be, it's interesting. I thought that Verstappen would have come in around lap 35. We're just coming up on the end of lap 36. It doesn't show any sign of him coming in. He's turning in the fastest laps. Max Verstappen, that is. That means he's got a lot of confidence in those tires. So if he's got that much confidence in those tires, we're at least another maybe 4 to 5 laps away before we see Max Verstappen come in and change to those medium tires. At this pace, that's going to put Sergio Perez a little over 17 seconds behind. And we've just seen Kevin Magnussen leave the track, cut a corner, and come back on again. So that does mean some of them are struggling either a little bit with the track conditions still, or the wind. As before, a little while ago, probably 8 to 10 laps ago, I was talking about how the wind, the folks had come back to warn Verstappen that the wind through corners 5 and 6 was dodgy, and for him to take care going through those corners. So maybe the little psychological games going on here with the two Red Bull teams, but Checo Perez has just taken the fastest lap away from Max Verstappen. Now, it only gave him, that's what's going on here. Magnussen has just taken put Charles Leclerc back into 11th position. That was really interesting, because Leclerc had just taken that position away. So we got a little bit of DRS battles going on here between these two drivers. But anyway, back to Perez in the fastest lap. And here's something really interesting. A Haas, Hulkenberg, has just taken the fastest lap. I can't remember ever in the last couple of years talking about a Haas car taking the fastest lap. That is just amazing, and just really good news for Haas. It's another, like Aston Martin and Williams, the Haas team has really come alive. Now, Williams has struggled this week. Logan Sargent, he struggled with his car all weekend, to be honest, but he's there back in dead last, and I wouldn't be surprised if actually he's been lapped or about to be lapped. But Piastri in the McLaren is in 19th, and Norris is in 16th. So McLaren, just for whatever reason, just they're the stepchild of the Formula One season right now. So let's see if Leclerc can get that position back from. We've got Lewis Hamilton is in the pits get rid of those hard tires, come back out on medium. So let's see where he comes out. My guess is in 16th or 17th. So they're saying that the medium tire is behaving very, very well right now, as Hulkenberg just put on the mediums and turned in the fastest lap. And so where did Hamilton came out in 13th? So really exactly where he started the race. He started in 13th and he came out in 13th. And we're going to show the replay here of Leclerc getting the 11th position back from, is he going to do it? Yes. Taking the position back from Magnussen. Then, of course, come back around a lap and Magnussen is going to take it away. In fact, Magnussen's just taken it back from Leclerc. So we've got we've got a little battle going on, and these cars are just so equal. One can't really beat the other, so it's kind of interesting. It makes for exciting racing, though, folks, which is exactly what we want to see out of Formula One. Is people battling for positions, people passing, people trying to do stuff. Who did George Russell just pass? George Russell. George Russell. Did he just pass Carlos Sainz? Let me see if I can see. Let's see. Yeah. And remember what I said, that Max Verstappen would have that 17 seconds. He now has 17.2 seconds. So he could come in right now and he'd come back out in first position. Unless he had some kind of a mishap on the change. So at 39 laps to go, we've got 17, 18 laps. So I would think that they're not going to risk leaving Verstappen out there too much longer on these hard tires. And you know, folks, my producer, Andre Kuhn, he's going to be a little upset at me today because we talk about this being the Formula One News Hour. And this has been such a good race that he's not going to be able to cut that much out of this race. So if you're really into my podcast, you're going to like this one because I think it's going to end up by the time we cut everything out and do all the editing. Let's say Andre, it's going to be probably an hour and 10 minutes. So it's good though. I'm really, really happy that after last week, that we've got ourselves a really good Formula One race. So we've just seen Esteban Ocon go into the pits and he has come out in 12th. So Hamilton is in 10th. So what we're seeing right now is a pit start, and Ocon's gone right back up into 11th. He's only half a second behind Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis Hamilton is going to be quickly back into 12th position. So Magnussen is in 10th. So we got points going on for the Haas, and Hülkenberg is in 15th. And Hülkenberg still has the fastest lap. What has happened to Checo Perez? Checo Perez is now nearly 18 seconds behind Max Verstappen. So some really, really solid driving going on here. And we're watching Lewis Hamilton trying to get past the Alfa Romeo of Esteban. Is it Ocon or Bottas there? Let's see. Yeah, so Hamilton just passed Esteban Ocon. And I just heard that what happened to Sergio Perez is that he nearly completely lost it. Whoa, did he ever? They're just showing it there on the replay. No, that's not a replay, that's live. He was dangerously close to taking out the wall there. So hopefully they'll show us a replay here in a moment of what happened at Checo Perez. But now he's more than 18 seconds. He's 18.2 seconds behind Verstappen. So if Hannah Schmitz is doing her job, she's going to bring Verstappen in at any moment and just put him onto those medium tires. There's only 15 laps left in the race, and it makes no sense to risk putting more and more laps onto these hard tires when he can pit and still come back out in first position. And interesting, they're just showing that Lewis Hamilton just had the fastest lap times for the first section of the track. So that's very interesting. So that car's maybe coming alive a little bit for Lewis Hamilton. So let's go over the top five for you right now. It is Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Russell, Sainz, and then the next it would be Gasly, Stroll, Leclerc, Magnussen, and Hamilton. So remember I said earlier that Lance Stroll could end up in the 6th or 7th position, and in fact he is in 7th position. So a really, really good weekend, guys, for the Aston Martin and in particular the Stroll family. So yeah, so they're just talking about the car of Max Verstappen and how well the tires are holding up and everything. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but they might be looking at just having him fit. No, he has to stop. Okay, you cannot go the entire race without a stop. Otherwise you get disqualified. But certainly with 15 laps to go, an 18.5-second lead, why they are not bringing him in and getting a new set of tires and getting the medium tires, I have no idea. Right now we've got Hamilton, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Joe Granu, Joe Granu, all those guys are on medium tires. So I think we've got Verstappen. Who else hasn't changed? I think maybe it's just Verstappen. I can't remember. I'm getting too old, guys. Sorry, my memory's not what it used to be. But anyway, I do still remember some stuff, so that's good. Anyway, so Lance Stroll is now okay. So that wait a minute, I thought he had already pitted. So that's going to put Stroll back in 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Oh, it's going to be tough. 15th. He's going to come out in 15th position behind Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Albon, Bottas. I don't think he's going to get back into points position, folks. But let's see how he does. Certainly Alonso's going to finish third. There's no way that Russell's going to catch him, and I don't think Carlos Sainz is going to catch George Russell. So your top five have probably already been decided. Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Russell, and Carlos Sainz. Unless, of course, we have a mechanical issue, a gust of wind. They're still talking about being really windy out there. So we could see a wind. And not only that now, the guys that changed tires on lap 20 and 22, now they've got 20-something laps on those tires. Now we know that we're showing Roger Federer down there. They gave him a photographer's pass. When you get a photographer's pass, you can go anywhere in the circuit inside the fence where all the photographers go to get you these great pictures. And so they just gave Mr. Federer one of those, who doesn't have a camera on him, by the way. So a little favoritism going on there. We couldn't even get a press pass for this Grand Prix. And here they're just giving away stuff. Oh, to be rich and famous. Oh, to be rich and famous. But to Roger's credit, he's not just a rich and famous guy. He is probably one of the incredible athletes of the last 2 decades. And of course, along with being a good driver in Formula One, you have to be an incredible athlete. Over the years ago, Worldwide of Sports, ABC Sports, used to do a thing called anyway, it pitted all the different sports people against each other: football players, baseball players, race car drivers, tennis players, against different events. And it was always the race car drivers that would come out and win those events. Always. Incredibly fit guys. So Sergio Perez is just, after having a really 3 or 4 terrible laps, put in the fastest lap. So why they haven't brought Max Verstappen in yet, I don't know. But let's see. He made up 1/10. What is that? So yeah, he's made up 1/10 of a second. Alonso is continuing. Actually, Alonso is just holding pace with him. He's right at 15.5 seconds behind. And then behind 8 seconds behind that is George Russell with, what do we got? 12 laps to go. I don't see the top 5 changing too much, unless I say there's a disaster in the pits for Verstappen or the wind is bad. And Verstappen just took back that 1/10 of 1 second that Sergio Perez took away from him on the last lap. So, we've just, he's now got 18.1. Now Lance Stroll has just put in the fastest lap. This is, you know what? This is really good stuff. It's really good that we got all these different cars now that are so competitive. And now we got Verstappen coming in. So let's see. He's in. Let's see if it's a really nice, clean pit stop. And he stops. Up. Tires changed. Down. Gone. 2.2. No. Wow. Slow. 3.1 seconds. This is going to be incredibly close, because he lost half a second there. He should still come out No, he's half a second. Yes, so it's only going to be, he's already, he came out 1.3 seconds, so that 1 second in there was a disaster for Max Verstappen. But Verstappen dropped to 1.7 seconds. He's back up to 1.5. So it's going to take a couple of laps for these tires to settle in. So we're on lap 46. So really by lap 49, 50, then we should see Verstappen retake the lead. And Alonso, with all of that, made up a full second. So that 1 second inside the pit was really not good for Max Verstappen, but he's already back under 1 second. So he's going to retake the lead here with I said 49.50. It's going to be 47. Lap 47. Then he's going to retake the lead from his teammate, and there's not going to be anything his teammate can do about it because Max Verstappen has got the better car and he's already in DRS zone. So on the next DRS straightaway, you're going to see Verstappen retake the lead, and that will be on lap 47, which they're on right now. This I think, folks, will probably be the last really exciting stuff, other than watching Lance Stroll. Remember, Lance Stroll still has the fastest lap. So this is going to be really interesting. Can Lance Stroll get himself up into the points? We've got Alonso comfortably in, and Max Verstappen's right on Sergio Perez's tail. He's 1 car length away. So the next straightaway, which is coming up, then he is going to take away the lead from Sergio Perez. He might not even wait for DRS, folks. He's going to take it right now. And Verstappen at the beginning. Wait a minute. 2 Red Bulls racing, and Verstappen wins out. So, but that was exciting stuff, guys. Those guys fighting each other for the lead. The team, this was the really big news, I think, here, is the team let them battle it out. They did not come on the radio and talk to Perez about letting Max pass. Everybody stayed quiet and let them fight it out. And so now that they have a vote on Sky Sports about driver of the day. So now they're voting for pass of the day. So anyway, it's Verstappen's got a half second lead. So Perez has DRS if he can make use of it. But and it's really good to see Red Bull letting these guys race it out, and they are. And Perez is going to try and take him back. And he can't do it, can he? No. Did he? Yeah, that was very kind of Verstappen. Very patient there. He let Perez go through, and he really didn't have to do that. I got that wrong. He didn't. I thought he got by him. He didn't. He got back, and in fact, that was really, really scary. I just realized it was a replay of when Perez was battling Max for the lead, and he didn't make it. Max had the inside. So anyway, the first and second position race is over. Verstappen is now leading by 1.5 seconds. Third place is over. Sorry, I was listening to Ted Kravitz talking about how the teams did not interfere with the 2 Red Bulls fighting for position. The interesting thing to me is, though, usually the number 2 driver in these teams do not fare as well as the number 1 driver, because the cars are built per the number 1 driver's preferences. So, does the number 1 driver like to drive a car that's got understeer, oversteer, more brake to the front, more brake to the rear? Now, the drivers can change that stuff, but the cars are really designed for the number 1 driver. And it's quite obvious that Checo Perez is able to match Max's driving style in many different ways, because the difference between them is not that great. It's very, very close. And it's obvious by watching, that last week, first and second, this week, first and second. I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks, first and second. Now, on the Ferrari side, Carlos Sainz is the number 2 driver, but this year he has put the Ferrari in much better positions than the number 1 driver, Charles Leclerc. Now, in the Aston Martin thing, Alonso is number 1, and he's clearly showing that he's number 1. Now, we've got to give Lance Stroll. So this is crazy. Talk about experience. Fernando Alonso has been watching his teammate on the big screens. There's big screens all the way around the circuit. And Alonso has been watching his teammate Lance Stroll on the screen. And he was just inquiring about where he was. So with 7 laps to go, Stroll doesn't have the fastest lap anymore. Verstappen took that. But he is in 13th position. He's going to end up, he's going to end up in 13th position. The Haas car, Magnussen's going to score points. Hülkenberg is not. And Piastri and Norris in the McLaren. McLaren, Jesus, what a disaster this year. They're 17th and 19th. Nick de Vries, who, if you remember, had that little altercation at the beginning of the race. Now, we've heard nothing more on that, so that may mean that the stewards have decided that it was just a racing incident, or they're going to address it after the race, but we've heard nothing about that. Yuki Tsunoda is trying to get past Valtteri Bottas, and Valtteri Bottas wants to get past, but no, Niki Tsunoda is going to put Bottas back. So it looks like Tsunoda is going to try and challenge for some points here and put Magnussen back. Magnussen's 2 seconds behind Ocon. Ocon's Hamilton's going to be safe at 8th. I don't think he's going to pass Leclerc. The very interesting thing is Pierre Gasly in the 7th position. So anyway, I don't think there's anywhere Hamilton's going to get past Leclerc. He just doesn't have the car. And Leclerc is not going to get past Gasly, because what's likely to happen here is we're going to end up with a DRS train between those 3 cars, Gasly, Leclerc, and Hamilton. And Bottas has just taken that position back from Lance Stroll. So this is what happens when the cars are so closely matched in capability and the drivers are so closely matched. You get these little DRS trains, and so they kind of pass each other and then fall back and pass each other and stuff like that. So, like I said, the race is settled, folks. It's going to be Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Russell, and Russell and Sainz in that order. And what I think is probably going to happen here in about 3 laps is they're going to bring George Russell in, and that'll put him back. So they're just talking about race strategy. Why did Perez start on the medium tire and Verstappen on the hard tire? And he's saying that the simulation said that the medium tire was the tire to start on, and Verstappen must have had a long discussion with his strategist. And they decided that they would start on a hard tire. So Lewis Hamilton, it looks like Lewis Hamilton is about to make a pass on Pierre Gasly, and in fact he does. He does. He cannot get past Charles Leclerc, though he will have DRS. But of course, Pierre Gasly also has DRS, so could well take the position back. But still, Gasly's still going to finish in the top 10. Lance Stroll now is up into 11th. And with 3 laps to go, he's got much better tires than Niki Tsunoda. Well, does he? Maybe no. No, Tsunoda's on the medium as well. So no, 1.4. Well, he might make it, but I don't think he can get past. He can't get past uh, Magnussen because Tsunoda's 3.5 seconds behind Magnussen. So that would mean in 3-4 laps he's got to make up 3.5 seconds, and that just is not going to happen that far back in the race. And Hamilton has just started making a race for himself here with 3 laps to go. He has just passed Charles Leclerc to take up 6th position. Now, he's never going to get past Carlos Sainz because he's 14 seconds behind. But what is going to happen, I believe, is they're going to bring George Russell in for a set of new tyres so that he can get the fastest lap and get that one championship point away from Verstappen, which will move Hamilton up to 5th position. So starting back in 13th and get up to 5th, not too shabby a day, especially at the beginning. He didn't think he was going to be able to finish the race in that car today. But sure enough, he's not only going to finish the race, he's going to move himself up some 7 positions. So a very nice drive for Lewis Hamilton. And let's see, have they brought Russell in yet? Maybe they're not going to. This is really interesting. We're on lap 55. If they were going to bring Russell in, now would be the time to do it. So then that would give lap 56 to warm up the tires, and then lap 57 to get the fastest lap. So anyway, another brilliant drive, of course, by Max Verstappen. It's been a really nice, interesting race, very interesting indeed. And Max Verstappen came back from the 9th position here to win this race. And I'm saying win it. I shouldn't maybe say that yet. We still got 2 laps to go. And in motor racing, anything can happen. We've seen more so in the back in the 60s and 70s. We've seen these guys come from they're going into the last lap and they're leading, and then they come in 10th or 11th. But the cars are a lot more reliable today. The drivers make a lot less mistakes. And so they're talking here, Max Verstappen just put in the fastest sector of for the first sector of the lap. So he's going for another fastest lap. He's only got 7, 8, 9 laps on his tires. So he's probably got the freshest tires out there. So that nobody's going to challenge him, I don't think, now for the fastest lap. I'm really surprised that Mercedes didn't bring George Russell in and challenge him, but maybe they thought the position making the championship points for constructors was probably more important because they're going to get 4th and 6th position, and Verstappen has just put in the fastest lap again, and we are on the last lap of the race, and just really an exciting race today, a great race, and we want to thank all our sponsors, Thenology, Give, Send, Go, Cloud Hub, and Moms for Liberty. And of course, our special little guest sponsor, Bastrop Bookkeeping, out in Bastrop, Texas, a little town just east of Austin, Texas, which of course is where we bring you this podcast from. So, wow! So get this: Max Verstappen in 9 laps has put 5 seconds between him and Sergio Perez. So I think that really, he's making a statement there that you give me a very similar car to you, and I can still make you look not very good. I think they talk, especially Christian Horner talks about the great teamwork and great team this and great team that. But you see some of the remarks, especially that Checo Perez makes. And he's a Latino, folks, and I can tell you, speaking from experience, having a lot of Latino friends and having had Latino girlfriends when I was younger, they are a fiery bunch. Very emotional, very fiery. You just got to love it. I just love them as a people. But Max Verstappen just made a very bold statement to Checo Perez about where they were in the championships and where they were as drivers. he made the statement that I am a much better driver than you in similar cars. And I'm going to tell you that the cars are built for, Red Bull builds those cars for Verstappen. And like Mario Andretti said, Verstappen is very, very lucky to have Adrian Newey designing and building his cars for him. So anyway, folks, that brings to an end this week's Formula One Grand Prix. We will be back at the next one. You know what? I haven't even looked up on the calendar to see where the next one is, but I believe it is in 2 weeks. If it is in 2 weeks, I'll be bringing that Grand Prix to you from Gambia, Ohio. In 2 weeks to this day, I will be driving back from Gambia in Ohio, where my twins will have graduated from college. And I'll say twins graduating from college. My daughter has to go back for 1 semester because she transferred from Wagner College in New York, Staten Island. Was it Staten Island? Anyway, New York City, one of the islands in New York City. And she transferred for her swimming career to Kenyon, where her brother has studied all 4 years. So he graduates next weekend, and so he'll be off to work in 3 weeks, I hope. Actually not, he's going for a well-earned vacation to Big Bend out in West Texas, and then down to Costa Rica for some time at the beach. So anyway, many thanks to Andre Kuhn for the great work that he does producing and providing all the technical assistance to this Formula One News Hour Grand Prix. Actually, it's not the Formula One News Hour Grand Prix. It's the Formula One News Hour that brings you the Grand Prix. So anyway, thank you, Andre. And until the next race, folks, we'll see you then.